Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I was muted actually. Um, to introduce myself again, my name is Matt. I'm your main presenter. Becky is going over questions, and I have Kathy Mulford here, our senior product manager, to help with questions as well. The agenda we're looking at is a lot of core functionality, some pertaining to Management Console, some pertaining to iPad POS, and this is cross-vertical. We're going to get into reporting, inventory, and then vertical-specific features, and then lastly into some new partner integrations. All right, so the first thing here is true currency tracking having to do with our tills. So if you didn't know, we actually support up to 3 other currencies in addition to the main one that you have. So if you look into reporting, you're going to see 4 different currencies. But we now have full foreign currency tracking. So if you take an alternate currency payment, Revel will save it as that currency in the till. So we assume that cash is always in the base currency. If your base currency is US dollars, for example, and you accept, I'm sorry?
Change.
Change.
Changes in base currency.
Sorry, change. Changes in the base currency, yes. So if your base currency is US dollars and you accept pesos, we assume that you're giving change in the US dollars. This affects tills only. And as you'll see in the screenshot in the bottom right there, reporting is still in the base currency there. In that screenshot in the upper right, that is where you'll find this setting. It is under tills, which is nested under payments. End of day sync alerts. So for example, for a business that perhaps runs a 24-hour operation, it is important to run the end of day process while there are open orders or unsynced orders. These features that pertain to the end of day sync alerts, you will have to contact support to enable this. So you'll find that there are a couple of settings here that you'll need to call support to get turned on, and I'll be sure to point those out as we move along. You can now print product data by category, subcategory, or class on the iPad POS sales summary report. So on the iPad POS there, going into sales summary, hit print, and you get a little preview there on the right where it's separated by those 3 categories. For discount eligibility, you can now choose on the product level and designate which products are eligible for discounts. So if you know a product you have is never going to be eligible for a discount, turn this on in the basic product details of the product, and it will either be eligible for a discount or not. You also have some enhanced control over combo discounts. So by default, the combo discount is applied to the most expensive product. So you have the choice of which product it will apply to by putting the desired groups or classes into the discount applies field. So the first thing we're checking off here is apply reprice to sum of products. And in the bottom of that screenshot, you'll see discount applies to. And you can choose a group, the product. In this case, we chose a group and we labeled all of our beer. Our customer display system is now centralized in the back management console. So previously, if you had a customer display system, you would set the display settings, a welcome message, for example, on that device. And if you had to replace it, you had to set the whole thing up over again. Now on the back end, you can set this up. So if you ever have to reinstall a CDS, the default settings will preserve. We've added a display items details setting in the peripherals of the management console. So if this is enabled, it will display a little icon with a lowercase I. If you're on this screenshot, if you look at the small box that says item details, right above the word item is the little icon. So if that's tapped, the KDS will open up the corresponding items details window, which will include item name, item image, kitchen details, modifiers, and special requests. This is not an item details view. It's basically cooking instructions for the kitchen. So these are cooks and chefs that are looking at the KDS who want more information on that particular item on the order. We've enhanced the recipe widget here. So you have an improved experience when creating recipes. You'll see that looking up and selecting ingredients for recipes is now easier, where I can check or uncheck ingredients or products if I don't want to see one of them. So just easier and faster searching there when you're going through all of your ingredients for recipes. We have now added in some payment processing alerts. An important feature here, because if you have unbatched payments after 24 hours, you can now receive an email alert. So it's very explicit, and the system will warn you, hey, these unbatched payments are sitting there. We should reconcile these. The screenshot below there, this is a notification where you can disable an alert when the system goes into always on mode. This provides for a seamless experience, so you're just not notified, but you can leave it on or turn it off. It's up to you. You can now customize your company logo in invoices and emailed receipts. So that's a big one there, a little more customization for you all. You don't have to reach out to support any longer to do this. We have some updates on scales here. So the different states now display different characters, so it's a bit more clear on what's going on here. So 0 pounds on our first screenshot there indicates no weight. The underscore indicates a negative weight. If you have dashes across the screen, that's a moving weight on the scale. And then the carets indicate an excess weight. So you know exactly what you need to do to fix or tear on the scale. For loyalty partial redemption, if you have a flat reward and you don't use it all, you can choose to use a proportional amount of points, or you can use it all. This is a feature that you'll have to contact support to turn on if you want a partial redemption for your loyalty. House account refunds. So this screenshot here is showing you that you can record refunds in the management console for house accounts. And just for confirmation, Kathy, can we do this on the iPad as well, or just the back end?
I believe it's on the iPad. I'm going to actually have to confirm.
Okay. So for now,
do that right now.
You'll see the refund is indicated by the negative amount, where marks as refund payment, and this is done in the house account summary report on the back end. And we'll double check if we can do this on the iPad as well. We've enhanced the house account import. So you can now manage house accounts using an import file, set the house account, set the balance for the house account, and you can also set the credit amount. So those are the 3 new columns indicated there on the spreadsheet. And a note, this can only work at the establishment level, not EMS. But for EMS, the house account summary report, you can? Okay, great. So for the refunds, we can do on the iPad for confirmation. Thanks, Kathy. So for house account summary report, this has been restored on the EMS view. So you have that functionality once again. We've also added a setting here that you'll have to contact support if you're interested in this. But this will allow you to sync invoices that reside on different POS stations to a cloud server. So if this is enabled, invoices from one establishment that are edited on POS devices across separate networks will be synced using the cloud. So when invoices that are stored locally on the POS are opened, the POS station retrieves the server version of the invoice. If that server version is newer and from a different POS station, the POS will merge the local and the server versions to present the resulting invoice. So you're getting the most updated and recent invoice. And ultimately, if the server is unreachable, the POS will use the local version, and you'll be informed and notified if that is the case. All right, some management console specific enhancements here. We have a new mobile phone support for the management console. This is the overview tab, to be clear. So if you log in with your phone, this is the first thing you'll see when you log in. If you go to a different tab, like products, for example, it'll revert back to that expanded view for a desktop. As we release, or in future releases, we're going to include more updated views on the mobile as we can. We have improved group management here. So originally, if you had multiple establishments, you had to drag everything around on this list, and it was kind of cumbersome. So you can now multi-select for easier movement and creation of groups and divisions. So faster and easier functionality here. We've introduced some login limitations. So the ability to auto log out on both front end and back end has been added, and your employees can also be locked out after X amount of login attempts for X amount of minutes. To turn that particular feature on, you do need to contact support. So in the top screenshot there, you'll notice you can have X number of failures. I believe the default is 6 or more. And then it can be re-enabled after however many minutes. So in this case, 12. Once it's enabled, you can set in the back end prevent login, restore POS access after X minutes. If an employee's account is locked, you can also go into that employee profile and unlock it if you have those back end permissions. We made it easier when creating pins, so you can turn this feature on where you indicate the pin length, and when you create a new employee, the pin will automatically be generated, so you don't have to make up a unique pin out of thin air anymore. We made an update to the employee list, so it's a lot easier to navigate here, a lot less clicks when going through the employee. On the left, you see the list of employees. On the right screenshot, you'll see that everything has been combined into one scrollable list. So it looks a bit similar to our settings window. Let's see. This is also accessible in the EMS view. We've also increased what you can control over what you can do in inventory, both on the iPad and the management console. So you can set by specific actions. So one person can receive inventory, one person can reset costs, another person can mark inventory as damaged. So these are all permissioned out. So a certain role can have certain portions of the inventory control. Along the same lines here, we've introduced customer access restrictions. So you can turn certain customer access permissions on and off based on role. For example, creating a customer or viewing customer details. For tip pooling, we've added in declared tip editing. So you can now edit this as I've highlighted here in the screenshots for you. And we've enhanced our integration with ADP. So we have explicit support now for Workforce Now and Total Source, as you see here. It allows the export of the specific file type that ADP would require, and it can be imported seamlessly into your ADP software. We've gotten rid of the classic view. So if you spend a lot of time in settings, you may have noticed a little button at the top right that's a classic view, which brought you to kind of a stripped down version of and some other different settings that you could only find in that section. But it has since been removed, and all settings can now be found in the regular section of the settings tab there. Tip support has been enhanced for consistency across all verticals. So you can now disable or enable tips using the plainly worded feature there, support tips. You can also add in a pre-tip label for online ordering. So that's the small screenshot there at the bottom. So you can customize this label here for the pre-tip amount. In this case, it just says online tip. But like I said, it's customizable. For some enhanced settings, pre-authorization has been centralized for both TSR and QSR verticals. So you'll see this pre-authorization setting in payments, and you can allow it, automate it and set that pre-authorization amount now, or in this one section. And font size for the iPad terminals can be set in the management console now. So you just look up font size, for example, and at the bottom screenshot there, you can set the pixel size for the font. You can override the font setting on the iPad itself if you need to. You can now export a product list or menu by category, subcategory, product group, vendor, or class. You'll see the addition of the filter items right here. It's the second option down there. This field has been added to the import-export section of the products tab. You can filter from the items listed, such as entire categories or even multiple product groups. So it's treed out there, really nice look and feel. The export contents field provides additional fields in relation to the selected items, such as a product matrix or size chart. Some new fields in the product export. You'll see starting inventory is now available for new products. And we've also added in the min and max price manipulations. I know it's a little small in that screenshot there, but in the bottom right, in the red box, is the starting inventory, max price, and min price. Product modifier import export. This is an entirely new import export, product modifiers. Previously, you could upload products and modifiers separately. Well, you still can, and then link the two in the management console. But you can now import that relationship through this import file here. So it saves you a bunch of clicks. You'll be able to do that just in Excel here. We've updated the look and feel of the modifier import export file. So you now have some more explicit instructions, what's required, a better guide as to how to do this. I think before it was just columns or headers with no instructions. So that's a bit clearer now. Same thing for ingredients. So you have the instructions here along with what's required in the fields. You can now create the inventory relation at import, and you can also create the inventory unit types upon import. And the same idea applies there. So if you're creating the unit type, you want to be consistent. If you're creating multiple caps, if you have the unit name all caps, and then you have it in all lowercase, it's going to create two different unit types. So be sure you're consistent with how you're naming the units. We've simplified the prevailing tax rate. So if you have just a very simple one rate, you can go into the back end here, into your basic POS settings, and set the prevailing tax rate. However, for those more complex taxes, if you have multiple rates, you're still going to be creating those in the Products tab under Taxes. All right, so for some iPad specific enhancements, you may have recalled in the scales slide, but there's an updated iPad interface look. So a really fresh and new look on the iPad interface here. You'll see things are a bit more matte or flat. I find it easier on the eyes. I really like this design, and we hope you do too. We have a new support ticket. So if you don't know about the shortcut, when you're on the iPad and you take 3 fingers and swipe down, it'll bring up this support ticket. So it's a shortcut to submit contact to support. It's organized a bit better here, so we can get your information quicker and get to your issue faster. And you'll see this once again. If you don't know the trick, it's 3 finger swipes down on the iPad. We have updated a printer KDS section here. So when you're in manage item mode, printer and KDS can now be added to products on the iPad. So once you're in manage item mode for that desired product, you can add a specific printer or KDS by tapping on the button I've highlighted for you here. For our clients that use online ordering, we now have enhanced online ordering alerts. So you'll see it's better, a more enhanced visual cue. So you have everything in purple here. At the top, you have a notification indicating how many new orders. And then the badges under orders, you'll see there's 2 numbers there in purple. So the top one is total number of orders, and the bottom number, I believe, is total number of new orders. So I have 4 new orders in total for online ordering. If you don't have this turned on and you do use online ordering, contact support and we'll be able to turn that on for you. Another view here, if I tap on orders, you'll see online orders has the purple text next to it saying 4 new online orders. And then when I bring up the online ordering window there, it lists my existing orders. Anything that hasn't been opened has the purple dot next to the order number. So consistent visual cues throughout as to which orders are new. We have repeating combo items. So you can now include the same product in separate product sets for combos. So in this case, if you have a burger combo and the customer actually just wants 2 large shakes and none of the other sides, we can choose both of these and add it to the order. You can now recall a past order and reorder it more seamlessly here. So this is searchable through the customer's order history. And this gives you a visual here. I've looked up Tony Stark's orders. I've selected the first one there. I can hit reorder and it's added to the ticket. The system is smart though. So if there's a product or a modifier that's no longer available, you won't be able to order that. We've updated the order details screen for you here, so it's a bit clearer to understand and to see. Yeah, it's just laid out a little bit better there for you. You can now add a customer to the order from the address page here. So when I'm adding a new customer, this is the address page on the right. We've added in that add to order button in the bottom right. So it's just a quicker experience with less clicks. All right, so before we get into reporting, I just want to gauge the amount of questions we have so far with Becky.
Excellent, thanks, Matt. So Jim's asking, is there any update for the email daily report? And I'm assuming, is that the one that you can get from the point of sale?
Which report?
Yeah.
We'll ask. So Jim, if you can let us know which daily report you're referring to. And then we've got a question from Dan. Does the update support the redirection of kitchen printers?
We have made no changes in kitchen printer functionality in this update. So in the sense that we've always been able to redirect printers, we can still redirect printers.
Excellent. Paige, this update will appear. You'll get a notice ahead of time, but you don't need to request this update for your Revel system. We'll be rolling it out in a couple weeks, I believe.
Yes.
And so you'll get a heads up when that's coming. So be on the lookout. A question from Michelle: will there be an update for custom shipping? This was going to be in the last update, but I didn't see it.
Custom shipping rates or
vendors.
So the ability to use a custom shipping table as opposed to just passing on the rates from UPS or FedEx, yes, that's a part of this.
Excellent. Okay. Do we still have to have emails added onto customer profiles to be able to create the customer?
That's by setting, actually. So depending upon how many establishments you have and whether, if you have multiple establishments, then it is best practice to have a required field that we can assume is unique. It doesn't actually have to be the email address. It could be the phone number or a reference ID if you're using, say, a third-party integration where your customers have numbers from that third party.
Okay.
If you're using a single establishment, you don't actually have to use it.
So Timothy, your question on will there be an Android point of sale app made sometime soon is interesting because we're an Apple-based system.
Yes, we are not pursuing an Android-based point of sale at the moment. We are pursuing making our insights reporting application available on Android phones, but not the point of sale.
Okay. Is there a report that has the ability to have sell-through and inventory on hand in the same report?
Maybe inventory summary log? Or
I'm sorry, what's sell-through?
Products inventory summary?
I would say in the inventory summary, but
yes, it might be in the inventory summary, particularly the export. I think I'll need to take that one offline.
Definitely. So some of these we won't be able to get to in this session, but we'll be taking the questions offline afterwards. And so we're letting you know how you can submit those questions. And I'll try to answer the ones that we can as we continue through, so we can just get going. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. No, that's a good segue because we're about to get into reporting here.
So some of these questions on reports may be answered, and if not, I'll have you submit them after.
All right. So we have some new enhanced report headers here. Notice that we're on the sales summary report. This is the first and only report right now with the 225 update that will have these headers. So there's a more enhanced look here. So you'll have a filter button in the upper left-hand corner along with the date, which is a drop-down that I'll show you in a minute. And you have another button on the right, the 3 dots or ellipses. So if I click on the filters here, you'll see you can choose through dining options, POS stations, employees, online orders, effectively putting all those checkboxes that were in the upper right-hand corner into a better navigatable menu here. If I click on the time frame, I get my 2 calendars, so I can look at a date range. And then on the very right, if I click on the ellipses, this gives me my export options. So, your PDF, your Excel, your printing option, etc. So once again, that's on the summary, sales summary. And as our releases commence throughout the year, we'll be adding this same header to the rest of our reports. We have a brand new report, which is the sales trending report. This takes a week's worth of data and measures it against 1 week ago, 4 weeks ago, and 52 weeks ago, as we see here on the screenshot. And just to confirm, Kathy, this is going to be an exportable report in the report section?
Yeah, it's an email-only report.
Email-only report. We've also added in the labor on the overview tab. So when you log in and you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see this section here located underneath the customer insight section. The red line is the target for which you do not want your labor cost to exceed. In this case, we just have a little bit of data here to show what it would look like when you have your employees actually logging in. We added in this new adjustments report, which shows your voids, returns, comps, and deletions. And discounts are now displayed in a separate report. So on the left here, we have the adjustments, and you can see that it's separated out discounts. On the right, at the top of the report, you'll see those 4 sections, the voids, returns, comps, and deletions. Let me see here. So in our adjustments report, you can export 2 performance reports against employee or date for out of ordinary behavior, deletions, voids, returns, comps, like we were talking about. They'll all be reported here, and this can be exported. So you'll be able to identify abnormal amounts of deletions, for example. You can also export this report based on employee to look at individual stats, which is the screenshot there at the bottom. All right, going into inventory. So just to give you some context here, previously the only time inventory was reduced was when a product was sold. The solution for this inaccuracy, based on your business, of course, was to include the prep inventory feature, which you see here. So the item that is created from the prep won't cascade at the point of sale. It will be prepped and brought into inventory ahead of time. So you would run this recipe when you actually create the item, and then the prep recipe can produce many items for your inventory. And that's what we're looking at with the recipe yield. So the first thing we're doing here is in the recipe, we're marking this as prep inventory. Then in our inventory tab, under this new section for prep recipes, you'll see the recipe here, for example, dark chocolate, and I hit the prep button. Hitting the prep button, I can have one of these 3 options. So the recipe can be run three different ways. You can do it how many times you want the recipe to be made. You can run it based on the amount of ingredients you have on hand, or you can run it based on how many items you want to yield. The other ingredient fields are input fields. So if you use more than expected or don't yield as much as expected, the difference will be marked as waste in your inventory. All right. So those are the 3 options for you here for your prep inventory. For mailing purchase orders, we've corrected this so you're no longer prompted to email the purchase order when you click finalize. It's sent when you hit send. You have the option now to print shelf edge labels for your products that contain a scannable barcode and price. So on the products page of the management console, the screenshot on the left there, The print price label option is now selectable from the options drop-down menu. You're going to use the checkboxes next to the categories, subcategories of the products to select the products for which you want to print the shelf labels. Once again, it's the checkboxes to the left when you want to use this feature. I personally have been confusing it with the active box just because it's a new feature. Remember, active, if you want to deactivate or reactivate products, it's in the active column. For shelf edge labels, you're going to click the box on the very left. All right, some retail enhancements here. We've enhanced the voids versus returns experience on the iPad POS. So just to give you some context here, because we're not looking at a live iPad, if we wanted to void something, this option would be available on the left before the order is closed. If we had accepted payment and the order was closed and we brought that order back up, we would be able to return the item, which you see on the right. So that button text is changed. So based on the order state, this will affect whether or not you can void or return the item. You can now disable manual void return exchange reasons to ensure more consistent and reliable data. So this is done on the back end here. And if you just want to disable these manual reasons so you have a more consistent view, and for example, if you want to report on this data, that way you get some more standardized responses rather than multiple people typing in multiple different reasons. We have the product price lifecycle true price change. So this changes the backend entry of the price, and on the iPad, you'll see the original price, active price, and new price as indicated by that screenshot at the top for you there. And this is accessible in the EMS. We've also introduced cross-store returns. So you can now purchase an item at one establishment and return it to a different establishment. So let me see here. This is done under advanced POS settings, enable returns across establishments. You can turn this feature on yourself in the management console. For the visual experience on the iPad, if you were to look up the order ID and it was from a different store, you would get the alert on the left. So it says, this receipt is from another store. Are you sure you want to continue? When you hit continue, you have the option on the right. The action is to return the items. So here you'll see the negative amount, and then you can create store credit, and you can do a cash manual payment type or credit plus, but we can't do credit payments. Looking at reporting, to give you some context here, we have store A on the left, store B on the right. Store A, there's sales movement, they'll receive the void. And store B, there's cash movement. Store B will get a negative payment. So this is reconciled with the due to due from line, which is the long box there on the left column. So store A owes money to store B. In other words, store B has money owed to it. Inventory-wise, the item gets returned to store A and automatically transferred to store B. In your order history, you're going to see some new colors indicating that actual activity here. So you'll see it in this light purple color. These are all the cross-store returns that happen. For commissions and discounts, previously order discounts were not included in commissions. Now you can enable the setting on the back end, which will reduce commissions based on amount of order discounts. So some more accurate calculations there for you. We've improved the prompting on the iPad for changes to orders with shipping. So you'll see here, if an order that's open has been changed, you'll get a prompt here. This order includes shipping. Would you like to update the shipping package? No thanks or update. Last release, we included the feature to discern between individuals or companies when referring to customers. You can now ship to either the individual or a company when you're using shipping. You can enable a setting on the back end here to ship the entire order or allow for partial shipping. We also now have card present refunds. So currently, this feature is only supported for Freedom Pay users. I want to make that known here. Future releases will add support for other payment processors. So on the POS, when performing a card present refund, you're first going to generate the order with the overage, and you're going to tap the chargeback action icon to initiate this process. So you'll see here on the iPad POS, we have the order. On the right, we have the negative amount there. When I hit charge back, the action window pops up on the left, indicating the amount to charge back to the card. And on the right, we're waiting for the physical action with the card to appear on, or to commence on the card swipe. So for this particular feature, there won't be an original, usually the original orders are in green, that won't exist. The negative product and negative payment will be displayed on the order history, so it'll even out. Sorry, that screenshot's a little small, but it shows you all the receipts that will print out with the appropriate reconciliation there. So for some new partner integrations, as well as enhancements that I wanted to include here, we have the Vantiv Try POS, which is the next EMV solution for Vantiv. We're looking at a release in the summer. I don't have a hard date for this, but our other EMV solution, oh, I forgot. I think it's FreedomPay. I forgot. But this is our new one, just to give you the announcement here.
Yeah, it's FreedomPay.
Yeah, okay. And then we're looking at the IPP 350. Our QuickBooks Online or our QuickBooks clients can now get a notification when the amount of the order exceeds the pre-auth limit. So we've made this more explicit. You have some visual cues here. If the order amount is going to exceed any pre-auth limit you set on the back end. And that's specific to our clients that have that QuickBooks integration here. For our customers in Australia and New Zealand, we've initiated our integration with Westpac. So we're going to be using the Verifone 355. This wasn't an option before, but this is a brand new option for our clients in that area. For our clients that use Zapper, you can now display the QR code on the CDS. So this is facing the customer. Once that pops up, they can scan it and continue with that payment. We have 2 new loyalty integrations with Como and Loyalty Plant. So those function similar to our loyalty partners now, but some brand new partners. We've enhanced our Level Up integration. So it started out as just payment, but now we support Level Up's gift and loyalty programs as well. You now have the option to use SVS gift cards through FreedomPay. So for our FreedomPay users, this is now an option. And one of the biggest asks that we've had recently is the integration with DragonTail. So this is a KDS and delivery optimization integration here. So it's an intelligent system, and Revel runs the POS side, and DragonTail runs the KDS and delivery system. So for our pizza clients, for example, this is a great tool to use for your delivery optimization. All right. Once again, this webinar will be appearing in our training video section under webinars. And for more detailed release notes for 225, you're going to find them in support under getting started. Now let's move on to, I know we have some questions waiting for us.
We definitely do. So some of you I'm going to ask to send your question, especially the more in-depth ones regarding inventory, QuickBooks, and so forth. I'd like you to go ahead and send those to training@revelsystems.com so we can answer them more fully than we probably can right here. But we do have a couple that we can probably get through. So will there be any new features to begin customer tracking, for instance, to be able to ask customers how they heard about our business?
At the moment, we don't have anything like that in the immediate roadmap.
Okay. How can I hold an order on one point of sale and pick it up on another?
Your point of sales should be syncing.
They should be.
in which
so it should
case
be on
it
both.
will happen automatically.
There you go.
But for that, I believe they have to reach out to support because it's in the establishment tab.
Oh yeah, if they need to set up a syncing environment, then they should work with support in order to do that and to determine that that is indeed the best solution for their business.
Nice. Adrian asks, will this update remove the need for secondary passwords for report edits?
I presume this is the gift card report or the TILS report. I'm going to have to go and look and see if that got put through.
Okay. I'm just going through some because some need to be sent in. Have we made any progress in the integration with Shopify? These folks use Shopify for their online ordering, and they optimally like to use all of our sales to be captured in Revel for the purpose of reporting and pulling inventory.
I don't believe that there is any work being done on our Shopify integration right now, although BizDev might have more information on that.
Okay.
I think it's too late now, isn't it?
I'm seeing some QuickBooks questions. Those will definitely need to be submitted through training@revelsystems.com. We actually have some QuickBooks experts here, but they're not in the room with us right now. Is there any way to integrate ordering with Bright? For instance, order ingredient on Revel, but not through Bright website? I don't think I quite understand your question, Jim. So if you want to offer a little bit.
Sounds like a third-party integration, and I'm unaware that Revel has one with Bright. I am not an expert, however, on our third-party integrations.
Gotcha. So to get EMV support for Vantiv, will new hardware be required? I'll have to look into that. So that would be a one that you're going to need to send us, because then again, that goes back to our equipment folks. You guys got a lot of good questions today. Let's see. Does the new upgrade allow for placement of a pixel so we can track consumer behavior?
I don't believe there's anything in the that we did for that.
Okay. There is actually an auto gratuity that can be based on your dining option, whether it's eat-in or takeout. It's applying to all because of a setting in your back end. So this is a question that you'd want to submit to support so that they can guide you through the process of having that setting properly checked for you. Okay, let's see. Are there going to be any enhancements made with the item forecasting in the near future?
Not in the near future.
Okay, that sounds great. So I think we've got through the ones that we probably can get through right here in this session. Some of your questions are going to require some research. So I really encourage you to go ahead and send those to training@revelsystems.com so we can give you a full answer. And we can go from there.
Great. So once again, thanks for joining us today. Those more detailed questions sent over to training@revelsystems.com, and we will see you next time. Thank you.